Hi, in today's video we're going to be talking about property insurance and professional liability insurance. And we'll talk about the different levels of coverage for property insurance and what is and is not covered. And we'll talk about why you would want professional liability insurance and particularly what types of jobs generally call for that kind of financial protection. So first off, we've got homeowners insurance, the purpose of which is to protect the items that you own from loss in case of issues like a fire or theft or some sort of injury that someone sustains on your property. Any one of these can be financially ruinous to you. If your house catches on fire and everything burns to the ground, if you don't have homeowners insurance, you've lost everything. And similarly with liability, if someone enters your home and gets injured, they could sue you for a significant amount of money. And if you don't have protection, that's going to come out of your personal assets. Renter's insurance is basically the same thing as homeowner's insurance, but it's for those who are renting an apartment or a home that is living in somebody else's home. And so it's going to cover your items in case of theft or fire, just like anything else. And it's going to protect you against injuries while you are taking care of the property. And it's important that you get it because even though the place you are renting will be covered by homeowner's insurance for the person who owns the home, your items are not protected by your landlord's insurance. It's against the law for somebody to insure something they don't own. And so your landlord's building will be covered, and if it were to burn to the ground, they would get a brand new building, but everything inside it, which they don't own, if you don't have renter's insurance, it's gone. It's also important to remember that renter's insurance is extraordinarily inexpensive, especially for young people in your first apartment outside of college or even while you're in college. So it costs you virtually nothing but gives you significant protection against the loss of items that you own, and it is a smart and responsible thing to purchase.
This is a house. It's like a lot of houses, but with one big difference. It's your house. It's where you hang your hat, open your mail, host cookouts, but most important, it's the place where you have everything and everyone that means the most. Protecting what matters most is what insurance is about. And if you're a homeowner, you know how your house works. But what about your insurance? Do you know how it works? Do you know how to get the type of coverage that best fits your needs and budget? The and how of insuring your home. Homeowners policies cover three basic areas: structure, belongings, and liability. Structure is your house. It's roof, walls, systems, a garage, or other freestanding building on your property. This is covered against damage due to disaster, such as fire, hail, wind damage, falling objects, burst pipes, and other events. Things to be aware of. Some types of water damage are covered. You will need a separate policy for flooding and earthquakes. And some things are never covered, like damage from termites and other pests. Belongings. Your stuff is covered against loss due to an insured event or theft. You're also covered off-site for loss of property wherever you are. The things to be aware of. Create a home inventory to make it easier to keep track of your stuff and what it's worth. Also, you may need separate coverage for high-value objects. Liability covers harm to others that happen in your house, like falls and other accidents. There are things that can increase your liability risks, like trampolines, pools, or an aggressive pet. You are also covered for additional living expenses. This covers the costs associated with living away from your home if it is damaged by an insured disaster and you can't live in it. How much coverage do you need? When purchasing coverage, remember this simple rule: insure to rebuild. In the event of a total loss, have enough coverage to replace your belongings too. Things to be aware of. House prices rise and fall, but the cost of building materials and labor is always going up. So now that you know how insurance works for you, take the next step. Contact an insurance professional to discuss the coverage that best fits your needs. Life is about the unexpected. That's why there's insurance, to cover you against unexpected loss. For more information, visit III.org.
When it comes to homeowners insurance, there are three basic levels of coverage. Two are very limited and generally less expensive, and one which is more specific and is more expensive. First level of coverage is called basic. It basically only covers a few specific incidents, and that's it. If the incident is not listed under basic, it is not covered by your insurance. So very specific events like fire or lightning or vandalism or something like that would be covered. Anything else would not be covered. So if you had water damage or something like that, not protected by basic coverage. If you want more coverage than that, you get what's called broad coverage. That will have a more comprehensive list of events that are covered than basic. But again, only what's on the list is covered. So it's everything in basic, plus if you're burglarized or if something falls on your house, or if you have water damage, then broad coverage would protect you and your property. But again, only things listed in the coverage will be protected. Anything else is not. And that's why sort of the more protective of the coverages is what we call special coverage, because it will cover everything in the world except for the things listed. So anything is covered at all under special form except for earthquake damage or flood damage, which requires a separate insurance policy, or if there's a war or something like that. But everything else that you could possibly think of would be covered under most circumstances under a special form property insurance. Some things are just too expensive to be covered under a basic policy or a special form policy, and so for very expensive items, you might need to get a separate insurance policy for that called an insurance floater. It covers specific items that are of high value, so anything with like jewelry or coin collections or art would not typically be covered by a standard insurance policy. So if you have a $3 million art collection of original oil paintings, you're going to need to get a separate insurance policy just for those items in order for them to be protected in the case of loss. And these floaters will provide for full replacement in most cases, but again, you're going to have to pay for that in the form of a higher premium. How much is covered, how much will you be paid, depends on what type of insurance you get. If you receive what's called actual cash value insurance, then the insurance company will pay you for the value of the items that are lost minus depreciation. So if you lose your television set, you don't get a brand new television set. You get the amount of money that would be necessary to purchase whatever state your television set was in before it was destroyed. So if it was a 3-year-old TV set, you're going to basically get enough money to pay for a 3-year-old TV set. You're going to have to pay the difference between what it's worth and what it's going to cost to replace. This type of insurance is less expensive than the other options, but it's going to leave you with a certain amount of risk, because if all of your items are destroyed, you will not get enough money from the insurance company to replace everything that you lost. The alternative is to get what's called replacement value, and in a replacement value insurance policy, the full cost of repairing or replacing your item will be paid by the insurance company. So if you lose your TV, you get a new TV. The thing with it is that even though they're not counting depreciation, they are going to charge you for it, and you're going to have to pay a much higher premium than if you were to purchase actual cash value insurance. But it does reduce your risk, because if you do lose all of the things that you own, you will be able to replace them without having to make any extra payments out of your own pocket. One way that you can reduce the cost of your insurance is to look for ways to get discounts. So just like with car insurance, where you can get discounts based on good grades or driving fewer distances or something like that, you can get discounts on homeowners insurance by making sure that you install a security system, for example, which would reduce the risk that the insurance company has to take for loss, because if somebody breaks into your home, the security system alerts the police, and maybe they're able to arrest the person before they steal everything in your house. Or if you have a brand new house and you choose to put in sprinkler systems, that would reduce the amount of financial risk that the insurance company is taking on in the case of fire, because presumably a sprinkler system would begin to suppress the fire faster than a house without it, so there'll be less damage. Or you can bundle your insurance. If you get car insurance, life insurance, and homeowners insurance from the same company, many times they'll give you a discount on your premiums. The other type of insurance that we want to look at is what's called professional liability insurance, and this insurance is for those people in professions in which you can harm other people in a significant way by doing your job poorly. It basically protects you against malpractice. So not every profession needs professional liability insurance, but those people who enter into professions like teaching or coaching, or as an attorney or a doctor or an accountant, these types of professions need professional liability insurance to protect you against multi-million-dollar lawsuits that are filed by people if you harm them by messing up on the job. If you're an accountant and you make a mistake on someone's taxes and it costs them tens of thousands of dollars, they could choose to sue you. Or if you're a doctor and somebody is injured in the course of you doing a surgery, they can sue you for millions of dollars. And if you don't have professional liability insurance, you would have to pay all of that if you were found liable. But with professional liability insurance, the insurance company will cover any sort of damages that you may create. So it's important to look into, depending on which profession you get into, once you finish college or when you enter into the workforce.